Coming up on this episode of NPS Now, one of our principals receives statewide recognition. NPS families head off to camp, and a Norview senior wins a prestigious national honor. All that and more next on NPS Now. Hello and welcome to NPS Now, your source for news and information about Norfolk Public Schools. I'm your host, Karen Tanner. This week's show will highlight the exciting events that occurred during the month of April. Our first story features one of Norfolk Public Schools' longest-serving principals who received a special award. Here's Amanda Verrata with the story.
On behalf of the Virginia Association of Elementary School Principals Board of Directors, to announce Virginia's 2014 National Distinguished Principal, your leader, Ms. Lauren Campson.
Ocean View Elementary Principal Lauren Campson was surprised by her staff, students, administrators, and the executive director of the Virginia Association of Elementary School Principals when she was named the Virginia National Distinguished Principal of the Year. This special assembly in her honor featured performances by students, speeches by dignitaries, and personal messages that revealed the positive impact she's had on many lives. To those who know her, this award comes as no surprise.
Well, Lauren Campson exhibits all of the traits of a quality principal. I've been fortunate to work for some great principals, but I know from my experience of having children here and from the stories that my wife tells me that the kids here are getting an outstanding education.
It's our focus on the children. It's getting them to realize they own their learning. And it comes through in all the interviews that we do, especially with the children. I recognize them today because they're part of the interview process, wins us over because we get to see the principal through their eyes and their experience.
Ms. Campson was nominated for this award by her peers, and after a long process that included school visits and interviews, she was named the best in Virginia. In October, she will travel to Washington, D.C. to be recognized as Virginia's National Distinguished Elementary School Principal. Despite this great honor, she still believes that teaching young people is its own best reward.
You know, I work so hard because I'm doing something that I believe in and that I love. So you don't expect awards for that. But I have to say, it feels really nice to have that recognized. I have to be honest, I feel really, really honored and very grateful to everyone.
Dozens of honor students were recognized recently during a special ceremony at Norview High School. The class of 2014 salutatorian and valedictorian were officially named, and numerous awards for academic achievement were handed out during the ceremony. But the highlight of the event was the announcement of Harvey Waters being named Norview's 4th Gates Millennium Scholar, which guarantees him 10 years of higher education funding.
It feels pretty good. You know, it's an amazing feeling to know that I can go to college and, persevere in my academics and, maybe be an inventor as I wanted to be and take the majors that I want to without worrying about the financial aspect. To be honest, Norview High School is pretty much like they gave me the foundation that I needed. It all began here. Once I got here, I knew what I wanted to do already, but they pushed me up, and the faculty, the staff, my peers, they all helped me persevere to this level of excellence.
He's our 4th. Harvey's our 4th. We've had 3 other young women, 4 years in a row. I think it's a real testament, really, to the power of positive educators who reach out to kids, who provide wonderful opportunities, and then our kids who come to us, taking advantage of all that we have.
We would like to see that across all of our schools, seeing it happen. And I certainly commend the young man and the school and the parents for the support that I know went into seeing him reach this point and see this coming to fruition.
Fifth grade students from Campostella Elementary have been spending their afternoons at the Southside Aquatic Center practicing for the National Sea Perch competition. Sea Perch is an innovative underwater robotics project, and these fifth graders are so proficient with them that they recently won a regional competition over middle school teams. Clearly, STEM has played a huge role in building the sea perch and operating them.
The students had to learn about measurement, and they also had to learn about buoyancy when they put the sea perch in water. So we had to test out different weights on the sea perch to see could it submerge underwater, or was it too many weights so it couldn't come back, So they learned a couple of components about science and math.
We had to cut the PVC pipes, wax the motors to keep the water out. We had to use we had to strip the insulators, and we test the motors, and then we came to this part.
I think they're doing great. They're learning that you have to keep trying. If something doesn't work, okay, what's another way that we can figure it out? So I think it's an excellent experience for them.
Campostella students will compete in the National Sea Perch Challenge on May 17th at the University of Southern Mississippi. Norfolk Public Schools held its second Families to Camp event in early April. Students and their families were invited to Camp Young for an engaging learning experience. Don Anderson has the story.
A sunny Saturday was perfect for Norfolk Public Schools parents who took their children out to Camp Young. The camp was a fun environment for hands-on, interactive activities that reinforce skills for SOL tests.
A lot of the kids come here to camp for water safety and science programs, and a lot of our parents have come here as children. And it's a way of reconnecting them to the environment, as well as a fun day to have with their children in an instructional environment as well.
I knew that Camp Young was a beautiful place, a nice setting to have this, and then also I thought it'd be a nice opportunity to meet other families, and it's a great opportunity to learn, especially to learn how to teach your children better, and whenever you can have an opportunity to do that, it's great.
The workshops were designed so parents could work with their children, kindergarten to 8th grade. They focused on history, social studies, math, and how to integrate literacy skills into everyday life.
Like regular items, you take like a box of Apple Jacks was the example she used, and you try to find words out of Apple Jacks for the, things like that. Like instead of using fingers for counting, you would use things like candy and let them count with candy.
I think that's the best way at this point. Because if I say, okay, let's study this, he said, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do this. So something that draws his interest is important, I think.
One aunt who wishes that more people had come to families at Camp Day loved the science experiments.
I have been learning experiments can really bring out some good results once you apply. Critical thinking, it allows you critical thinking, it allows you independent thinking. It shows them that as a result of this could happen if you do this. But if you just take a little bit of time and think about it, it'll work.
Norfolk Public Schools, in partnership with ODU and Virginia Special Olympics, hosted the 5th annual Little Feet Meet, which took place at Foreman Field. This event gives special needs students the chance to exercise and enjoy some fun in the sun. Volunteers help make this event a huge success by manning the 20 or so stations that make up this event. Each station is designed to stimulate students and help them develop self-confidence, all while having fun. Granby High School held a walkathon and carnival to help out one of their own, Camille York, the school's Teacher of the Year in 2012, who was battling breast cancer. Students and faculty came up with this idea to raise funds to help York in her fight. Many came out to play games, dance, and fellowship for the cause. The Spanish teacher was touched by all of the support.
I love that all my students so many of my students are out here, and especially former students, and they're here with their families. and my colleagues are here, and even former colleagues who are no longer at Granby High School just coming out to support. That is such a great feeling, and I couldn't be more thankful. Granby has a feel that's like a family. I've lived in this area for 13 years, and I don't have any family here, and they are my family. And when you're here in this building, you just feel like family. This isn't my first fight with cancer, and they have been there from the beginning 10 years ago, and just all the support that they showed me through all of this is amazing. And I love the feeling, and again, I'm so humbled, and these are the things that you bottle up on those bad days, and you open it up, and just reminds me that I have an army of wonderful people just backing me up, and it feels good.
Community members and employees were invited to a special event that featured our superintendent highlighting the revised Transformation Initiative. Here's the story.
Norfolk Public Schools Superintendent Dr. Samuel King and the Norfolk Education Foundation invited stakeholders to Ruffner Academy for a community exchange. This event gave Dr. King the chance to discuss his updated transformation initiative, which is a big part of the district's strategic plan, directly with the community. Following presentations by two very bright students from Ruffner's Young Scholars Program, Dr. King took questions from the audience. Those in attendance were grateful for the opportunity to learn more about the initiative.
I think it was great, it was informative, and he opened up this forum for the community to come out and hear what he has to say and to partake in it, and he wants to hear our feedback also. So it just gives us the opportunity to come out and support what he's doing and support the community as well as the school system.
Transparency, yeah, and I like it. It was a great thing, because now I feel like I'm part of the process, and I wish I had more input, from the construction of all this. But it's much more transparency, and I think it's a plus from Dr. King to do that.
Well, providing the community a chance to come in and hear about the vision, it gives the community an opportunity to buy into what you're aiming to do, and it just provides for a stronger vision, a stronger way to get there and to accomplish that, because you have the community support in that. And what he did today, I think he totally has the community support.
You can learn more about the Transformation Initiative and upcoming community forums online at www.npsk12.com/transformation.
Miss America, Nina Davalori, and Miss Virginia, Desiree Williams, visited Ruffner Academy to remind students about the dangers of distracted driving. This visit, which is in partnership with Geico and Teens with a Purpose, was one stop on their tour of Hampton Roads. During a question and answer session, Miss America also spoke to students about the important role that STEM education has played in her life. Camp Allen Elementary's 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders took part in a very loud and very exciting SOL pep rally. The theme of their rally was Mission Possible, and it was led by their new partners from the Camp Allen Marine Base. Granby High School's drumline performance was followed by a competition featuring groups of students from each grade answering SOL practice questions and shooting free throws for points.
We're here trying to motivate the students because they have state tests coming up. So we want them to be motivated and excited about wanting to study and do well on the state tests. Education is very important, and this is our next generation. Or where these kids go is where they carry America, and that's a big thing. We would like them to be very well educated so America continues to grow in the future.
The school board for the City of Norfolk will hold a work session on Wednesday, May 7th at 2 p.m. on the 12th floor of the School Administration Building. The session will air live on Channel 47 and the NPS website. If you have any great story ideas or events happening at your school, please be sure to contact us at npsnews@npsk12.com. Coming up next, NPS Sports with Steve Suppmiller. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to NPS Now. I'm Steve Suppmiller, Senior Coordinator of Athletics. Today we have two special guests in the studio, Becky Moore from Norview High School and Mr. Tommy Staples from Granby High School. Both are athletic directors, and that's what we want to focus today, is to talk a little bit about what an athletic director does, how important they are to the school, and just to let the public know what exactly an athletic director does and what their background is. So, Tommy, we're going to start with you. How long have you been an athletic director, and tell us your path on getting there?
All right, this is my current, my 8th year as an athletic director. I did 6 years at Norview High School. Before that, I was a teacher and a coach at Granby High School for 8 years. So this is my 8th total year as an athletic director. When I was in college, I was a student athlete at Old Dominion University, played baseball, majored in English, and after that, that's when I got the job at Granby High School, and everything else has happened from there.
Okay. Becky, your path's a little bit different than Tommy's. Traditionally, our athletic directors have been former coaches, been a teacher. You're the new wave athletic director, as I call it. What's your path and background?
Well, I started as an undergrad in sport management at ODU. After that, I interned in Florida for a whole year, worked spring training for the Tampa Bay Rays, and worked in their main offices in St. Petersburg. And after that, I decided to come back and get my master's in business at ODU. And once I was finishing that, I interviewed with NPS and got the job as an athletic director.
Great. Tommy, day to day, what are some of the challenges that athletic directors face, and what can the student athletes expect from their athletic directors? And this is a multiple question for both. So, and what can your coaches expect, and parents?
That's a great question. I think the best part about the job is it changes day to day. You know, you wake up, you show up, you can have different problems, different situations. I like to think that we're a liaison for our principal, for our administration, for our student athletes, definitely for our students in general, and for the community. I think we need to be role models, and we need to set aside certain parts of the day to deal with situations. Usually that's done in the morning. I'll have a phone call about something that happened the day before. Then you want to sit down and realize what's going to happen that current day. You know, make sure your officials are set up, make sure your transportation is set up, make sure everybody knows what's going on throughout the day. And then you basically just kind of wait for the next thing to happen. Okay. So that's kind of what the athletic
a lot of moving parts.
Yes.
Obviously.
Yes.
Becky, being new and going into a high school situation, what were some of the things that you've learned up to date, and maybe some of the challenges that you faced right away?
A major challenge for me has been my age. I'm a bit younger, and the kids kind of see that as a friendship type thing, and you have to kind of show them the way and be like a role model, like Tommy said. So you kind of have to show them how to become a young adult, and that's one thing I've learned, and it's helped me become a more responsible adult to show them how to become one.
Okay. Well, that's a good lead-in. 3 years ago, when I took over the position of senior coordinator, we wanted to change the status of athletic directors. We've changed their job description, which allowed us to bring in a Becky into that position. But we've also got involved with a national program through the NIAAA, a leadership program. And Tommy, we're going to give you credit as being the first athletic director as a certified athletic administrator. Talk a little bit about that program.
Well, obviously it's our job as an athletic director, and I think it's important that we stay certified, just like everybody else in Norfolk Public Schools has to do. And I think the program is very important. It keeps you up to date of some of the situations going on in today's world, some of the lawsuits that are happening, makes you aware of it so you can be a liaison and take it back down to your coaches and make sure we avoid some of those situations. You get to see the problems that other schools and other systems have, with budgets and everything like that. So it's important for us to keep up to date with our certification, especially in the field that we work. So.
Okay. Becky, I mean, you've started the program. You'll be the next one to be able to sit through that exam. Through the program, what are some of the things that you've learned in the classes that you've been able to take back into your schools and institute those?
The major thing we learn about in the beginning status of the program is sports law and all the different workings of that. There are a lot of rules that you just don't know about if you haven't taken any law courses before, and it kind of opens your mind to the things that could happen. It hasn't happened at your school yet, but it could easily happen there. So it helps you go on to educate your coaches and to be more responsible and to teach their kids what they need to do to stay out of trouble and to stay healthy.
Okay. Sports law always a big issue and topic in athletics, and having people that have gone through programs is a great plus for us to watch over our program. So that CAA program is is important to us. Moving on, we've all been experiencing the new Virginia High School League. We're almost through the first year. How do you think it's gone with the transformation of the Virginia High School League?
For me, it's been probably an easier transition than most. I haven't had a lot of years back in the old way, so for me it was a good experience to meet a lot of new athletic directors and principals, and it's just been nice to network and be able to call on them when I need help or call on them when we have scheduling issues, and it's just been really nice. They've all been really flexible and great.
Now Tommy, you've gone through the old way. You're a previous guest here anyway, so you know what's going on. But what are your insights on this change, and has it been good?
You know, that question is still yet to be answered, I think, but I think it's been a lot smoother than we had thought it was going to be. I know when it first came about, we were pretty much scared to death, not knowing how things were going to change, and obviously a lot of people fighting change and having to deal with that. But I think the people that we've worked with in the past and the people that we're working with now, we still work well together, and we still communicate, and I think that's the key there. And competition is competition, so I know the kids just want to show up and they'll play anybody who's in front of them, so I think that's key. So.
Okay. Hey, I want to thank you guys for being here. You shared a lot of good information. We could definitely have a half-hour show on what you do day in and day out, but just a taste on what athletic directors do and how vital they are to our school system. Again, we thank you for what you do every day for Norfolk Public Schools. More NPS Now after this.
Welcome back to NPS Now. With us today is Courtney Doyle, Director of Customer Development and Marketing for Sentara Healthcare, and she's also a school board member. Welcome to NPS Now.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Great to have you. I have interviewed all of the board members, and now finally it's your turn in the hot seat.
Very good. Very good.
I'm glad to have you. And you are one of the newest board members since July of last year.
I am.
And I'm sure it's been an exciting experience for you thus far.
It really has been. I've learned a great deal, and I'm very proud to serve, actually, for the community, and I'm very proud of our Norfolk Public Schools development and trajectory. I really am.
What made you want to become a board member?
Well, I had two children that went through our public schools and here in Norfolk, and they are very successful in their careers, and they served our family well. And I felt it was a good opportunity for me to give back to the community and to serve others so they have that very same opportunity. And I'm very proud of what they've done.
And what schools did they attend?
They went to Larchmont, Blair, and Morey, a little bit of Taylor in between. And they are off and running on their own careers.
Now, are you from this area as well?
I am not. I actually grew up outside of Washington, D.C., and I moved here about 20 years ago when I got married to my husband. And when I moved here, I went back and got my MBA at Old Dominion University, and then following that, started working for Sentara Healthcare.
Wow, and your husband is a judge here.
He is. He's a circuit court judge here in Norfolk.
So you have a very diverse background. So you work with Sentara. Tell us about your job.
Yes, as Director of Customer Development and Marketing, I oversee the marketing, work in communications as well, do some mergers and acquisition work, business development, work a lot with budgets, of course, but in all, we're here to serve the patients in our communities, and Sentara has been a very good company and a good steward of giving great patient care to our community members.
Now, how do you think those experiences have prepared you to be a board member?
Well, I think that I work really on the business side here at Sentara, and so I've been able to really see a good way to, how do you manage a good budget? How do you grow and develop new products and services? How is it that you communicate well to your patients, to your families, and to your community? And so I think that, along with other things that I do at Sentara, have translated well as what I did prior to working at Sentara.
Wow. So you're balancing Sentara, school board. How do you do that? How much time do you spend as a school board member?
I would say I spend about 20 hours a week on school board. And for me, it's seamless, to be perfectly honest. You know, I work good, long, hard days at Sentara Healthcare, and I have meetings for the school board at night, or even during the day. Or there are community events that take place on weekends or other times of the week. Or there's just preparation for meetings as well. I do a lot of research and a lot of online work just to learn and be hopefully a more knowledgeable board member.
What do you think is one of the toughest challenges the school board is facing this year?
I would say, I think one of our toughest is, I wouldn't say it's a toughest challenge, I'd say one of our greatest opportunities is moving forward with getting our schools fully accredited, for one, and I think our educational plan and transformation agenda is really going to help us move there. And I think that it's an exciting time and a real transformational time, in essence, for us here in Norfolk to see our schools change and develop and grow.
What's the best advice you've gotten from a board member about serving on the school board?
I would say that you can never stop learning, that there's always more to learn and grow, and that it's always great to be available to the community, for them to be able to have access to you so that you're a voice of the community and you're a voice from the school division to the community as well.
So coming on the board, you saw how much work it was going to be, and now you're in it and you're really just deep in the thick of it. What are 2 or maybe 3 goals you, Courtney Doyle, being on the board, you want to see happen or come to fruition?
Well, I'd like to say, like I mentioned earlier, I'd really love to see all of our schools fully accredited. I also would like to see our graduation rates even further grow. And I think lastly, what I'd like to see is our brand and our reputation even further enhanced. I would love to see folks who move to Hampton Roads say, I want to live in Norfolk because that's the division where I want my children to go to school. And I want them to be proud to say, I want to move to Norfolk because that's where my children need to go to school. Because I think we have great offerings here in the city.
So have you had an opportunity to tour some of the schools yet?
You know, I have, and it's been fabulous. I've been to several, and I spend about an hour, hour and a half at most. I don't want to take up too much time. I generally meet with the principal, and then we do walkthroughs or focus walks, and I'm able really to go in and see teaching and learning in the classroom. And I'm able to see how children are in these classrooms. And I'm able to meet the teachers, the counselors, and so on that are so vital to the success of our schools. So for me, it's been really great to get in the 4 walls and to see the schoolhouse in action and to see the technology in action and to see the vitality of our children. So it has been wonderful, and I have many visits scheduled ahead, and I look forward to those and just to meeting the principals that I have not yet met.
And it sounds like you've done a lot just in your 10 months being on the school board. So are you looking forward to being on another 2 years?
Sure, I'd love to, absolutely. I think to me, it's a privilege to serve. And I think schools are vital to a community. And anything I can do to contribute to making Norfolk Public Schools even greater is a passion for me. And I was pleased that I was called to serve and happy to be here, and I would really very much like to continue.
As a parent of former students, what advice would you give parents as far as working with their schools and getting involved in the community with their schools?
That's a really good question. I think that parent engagement and involvement is key, because we can as much teach the parent what's going on in the classroom as the student is learning in the classroom. And I think that collaboration will help the parent enable the child to be that much more successful. So I think if they're involved in the PTA, or if they're involved in school events outside of the PTA, as long as they're in the setting or in the environment to understand where their child is going every day is key for their child to be further successful.
So what do you like most about being on the board?
You know, there are several things that I love, and one is I love hearing from the community. I love the opportunity to hear the parents and teachers, principals, just give feedback. Just say, hey, do you know? Or this is what I'd like to share. This is something really great. Wouldn't you love to know? So I think there's just great, there's several things that are wonderful. So it's hard to really just put it into one.
Right, right. And you have background in marketing and branding. You mentioned that earlier. So I'm sure our communications department would love to hear some of your ideas.
Well, I will shy away from that. I will leave that to the experts here at the school division that do a very fine job. So, and I really do. I think they do a wonderful job. But like I said, I would really love to have the reputation and the brand such that when families move to Hampton Roads, they say, I want to live in Norfolk because I want my children to go to school in those Norfolk Public Schools because they have great offerings.
And to have a representative like you, who's an advocate on the board, your children doing great, leaving Norfolk Public Schools. It makes us excited to know that we have your type of support on the board. Well, thank you for joining us today. Our time is up, but I've enjoyed talking to you and your counterparts, and hopefully everyone has an opportunity to get to know you up close and personal and come to the board meetings each month and see everything in action and see how board meetings happen. Because I think a lot of folks really haven't understood it until they watched it, and so they had an opportunity to meet you today. So thank you for coming on this show.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Great to have you here. And we want to thank you for tuning in to NPS Now. You can watch us here on WNPS Channel 47, or you can view us online at www.npsk12.com. Again, we want to thank you for watching NPS Now.